Hi everybody, Geraldine Rose here. Hey, I've got a watercolor card with a bit of a twist, and I've also got a question for you guys. Of course, this card was for an Instagram hop. It was for the Watercolor Wonder, which is a new hop over there on Instagram. You can search it out. The first month, we're all just trying out florals. I hadn't pulled out my watercolor since, oh goodness, like the mid-90s, other than 2 cards last year where I just did a couple of washes and we did Galaxy Effect. I was pretty rusty, so I thought, well, okay, I'm going to contain it within embossing, but I knew I wanted a splotchy watercolor, so I used my chunky metallic embossing powder, and I'm doing each of the flowers individually because I didn't trust myself to put the Versamark down and then not smudge the next flower into it as I was setting it down. So I'm going back and forth with the anti-static powder, putting Versamark down, putting the chunky metallic embossing powder down, and then stamping the next flower. And the sentiment at the end here was from the Altenew Magnolia Blossoms. The flowers themselves were from the honeysuckle. It's a flower that we don't typically use that much. I actually have one in my garden. I've got a gold flame honeysuckle. And oh, it smells so wonderful. All right, for the background, I have the Simon Says stamp, the old letter script. And it looks like I'm pressing it down everywhere, but all I did was I kind of put Versamark in the areas that were the main white space towards the bottom right-hand side. I'm using that matte embossing powder over top of it because I want to do an embossed resist. And wherever I did actually have some Versamark and powder, I took a brush, of course, and wiped it off so that it wouldn't just show through the portion where I was going to have the flowers. All right, so we're going to heat set that. It does have just the slightest cream effect on that Canson XL. Now, I'm hoping that you guys would consider subbing because it's going to help keep me going. If you didn't know, here's some stats. 73% of YouTubers quit in the first 6 to 12 months, and typically it's more closer to 90%. So we're coming up on my basically 1 year kind of anniversary in April pretty soon, where I started focusing on this, and that was after I'd had a really bad heart issue and my health was so bad I had to retire out. Still not fully back. So this is what I'm doing to keep my mind sharp. Anyways, the paper crafting card making niche, it's really tough because we've got high competition, we've got high cost of the supplies, we've got slow initial growth, we burn out. Viewers don't realize the hours that are put in to edit the clips, caption things, match the music, generate the graphics, like thumbnails, and it's actually, for me, consuming more time than when I did a full-time job salary working as a manager for a very large store. I think we all grew up with that saying, it doesn't cost anything to be kind. And you could help me out by being kind, leaving a like, commenting, sharing the channel to your friends, please. Best subscribing, especially since you can see I've got really creative, really pretty cards. And I'm not continuously trying to sell you something with my app links. And I can laugh at myself because we all know I get into experiments that kind of go sideways a lot. So, oh my goodness. But just to give you a better idea, in case you didn't know, industry average, it's about half an hour to an hour for a minute of finished video. And I'm pretty much on par with that because I'm trying to put out quality rather than quantity because I don't need to subject everyone to, like 3 to 5 hours of dull footage, right? Plus, I refuse to use AI. I don't write scripts, and I think that if we keep doing that, heading down that road, we're going to weaken our own brains, and then of course Terminator, right? So, anyways, you're getting all my word foibles and all the Menazheimer stuff, and then all my squeaks when I'm happy about something. Honestly, I'm asking if there is something that I'm doing. I'm just curious. Why is it that people don't sub? Let me know if there's something that I can do because I'm open to change if there's something that I need to work on, and I very much appreciate that. Okay? All right. So that's enough for the TED Talk. Let's get on to what I've been doing here in the background. I painted the watercolor paints onto the stamp blocks, and that's how I'm getting that blocky layered print effect with the stamp. It's still watercolor. It's got little areas where the water is pooled up and whatnot, though. I just deepened the colors up and let them blend on the block and squish them down. And of course, that blended them a little bit more and lifted them up, let them dry, went on to the next flower. Once the main flowers were done, I'm going back in with a really light wash for the first layer of watercolor in the background. And this is more the typical type of watercolor that you think of, that you lay down a layer of water, or some people will spray it with water as well too to wet your watercolor paper. See that right there? That's part of my Minnesheimers. I have phonetic paraphrasia where I will replace sounds at the beginnings of words with other ones. Anyway, here I did go back in with a secondary layer of the blue wash in the background, and then a third layer because you'll also notice. Do you see that little white triangle in the middle honeysuckle? I forgot about that until the very end. Gave it a little bit of splatter. That was that gold mica ink. We're going to work on the inside of the card. We have the Alt New Happy Holidays. I am still on this whole big goodwill kick that I'm running down the postage stamps that I had stockpiled up, and they're getting a little low, but I'm still doing it because we need to get some good energy out there, right, guys? Yeah, the stamps I ombre'd as usual. So blending the lights, the mid, and the darker blues. I used their complementary orange, which of course is mirrored on the front. Unity of design, correct? On the back, I think I had an orange stamp on the back there. Okay, so we're going in with some more splatter. I've got out a couple of the mica sprays from Ranger, and these were different tones of blue. So I'm splattering it over top of the watercolor block stamping and the watercolor wash that we've got in the background. More so on the side that is the darker side with the honeysuckle flowers and buds. I'm going to lay down some of my favorite ombre drops from Pink Fresh in the blue tones. Have to have a little sparkle, little shiny, shiny, bling, bling. Okay, I am working on the envelope. I stuff an old piece of cardboard inside so that I don't have those uneven edges when I'm stamping. And we're just going free form here. It's free range stamping. I don't care how it turns out because like the front of the panel with the watercolor, it was not a very controlled type of watercoloring. And so I'm doing the same with the inks. I'm using pigments in the white and the antique gold. I'm just letting them do what they want to. If they want to pool up in certain areas, that's fine because it's mimicking that effect that we've got with how the watercolor block stamping happened. I tend to do the corners, leaving the middle open and being very cognizant of, is the postal machine going to read it as it goes through? On the back, I love using that Alt New Crafty Friends with the little sayings they've got, and I've got a few other ones too that it's just nice to have a little greeting on the back, and I always love giving the postal people something to look at, and like personally, we have the best post lady. That is the finished card and envelope. And you can see I did paint in that one little triangle now. This one has already been sent out. And for the rest of you, thank you to those of you that are going to like and comment and share and subscribe. And let's all be that change we want to see in the world. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. All right, we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.